As Indians, it is almost compulsory for us to feed on something sweet after our meals. More than often, this lifesaver is usually chocolate. And what we don't realize is that chocolate, in its heritage and quality, is one of the most delectable and versatile. And we often take it for granted. Mind you, all chocolates aren't necessarily sweet. In fact, the finest chocolates are appreciated in their bitter and dark form. Namaste, my name is Ranjit, and in this episode, I'm going to talk about art of appreciating good quality chocolate. The practice of chocolate consumption dates back to the time of Aztecs in 1750 BC. Word has it that they even used it as currency. The most popularly consumed source of cacao in the Western world is Theobroma cacao. Its cultivation practices date back to 5,000 years ago. The word Theobroma literally means food of the god, which is why, if you like, you can send me some of its produce to my home. I'll consume it with joy and give you my blessings. Scientifically, it is proven that a single cacao bean has 1,200 chemical constituents. Therefore, dear viewers, remember not to be impressed by something that is merely a synthetic chocolate flavoring, because it is impossible to replicate the complexities. Types of chocolate. Let's break it down to the varieties of chocolate you get in a regular shop. Dark chocolate, which is plain cacao and sugar. Bars are sold in percentage ratio, basically to determine how strong it will be. Then you have milk chocolate, which is cacao solids, cacao liquor and milk. Then you have white chocolate, which is sugar, milk and cacao butter. Baking chocolate, which is less sugar and more cacao solids. Then we have alpine chocolate, which is more milk. Now this is rare in US and common in Europe. Sweet chocolate, which is mostly sugar, solids added, and it is basically meant to be blended for drinking. Bars. In Europe, they are usually 100 grams. It's a standard size. In US, there are varying sizes and less detailed ingredients. Internationally, some of the best brands you can buy in luxury section are Cadbury, Godiva and Dagoba. Good value brands on the other hand are chocolates like Hershey's and Elmer's. Do remember that Lindt makes some of the finest chocolates, but try to avoid the products that contain fillings. Cacao. While talking about the contents earlier, I happened to mention cacao. Now, a cacao fruit is basically a pod that is shaped like an American football. The pod has deep grooves in it, which, believe it or not, help you speculate only by looking at the surface what the quality may be, much like palmistry. Cacao beans need good tropical ecosystems for growth in optimal quality. Coconuts, avocados and bananas make for good neighbors and support the plantation. Now let's move to experiencing chocolate. Now chocolate essentially engages all 5 senses. So it is wrong to say that a connoisseur will only test a chocolate by tasting, because chocolate is in fact experience. Sight. Look at its texture on unwrapping. Does it have a semi-gloss? Marks? Bubbles? See, the definition of the visual composition speaks about the artmanship. When it's handmade, of course, you have to expect it to have bumps and marks. They add to the originality. Sound. Snap it and hear the crisp and firm sound on breaking. A good dark chocolate is one that establishes its presence with the sound of its snap. Of course, you must make an exception if the chocolate has been in the sun for too long. Feel. A chocolatier heats up the chocolate at 50 degrees Celsius and licks to get the real feel of its raw texture and aroma. The closest you get to that is simply by rubbing the chocolate on the areas between your index finger and the thumb. The heat from your body may loosen up the molecules and melt it a little. It will make the texture finer and easier to evaluate. Smell. Here it gets more fun. Flip around the part which has been affected by the heat from your body. Now take a deep whiff of that area, much like you would do while smelling wine. Try to understand what flavors you get out of it. Is it more like caramel? Or is it fruity? Ask yourself, what type of bean is it? Taste. Now pop it in your mouth. Chew it slowly, but suck as well. Feel the texture and the ingredients. 1,200 chemical constituents are right now dancing on your palate. Feel the texture on your tongue and try to figure if it's the same that you felt on your hand. Try to taste the flavors and the undertones and check if it's the same that you thought when you were smelling it. The Arriba Nacional, for example, starts off with a red berry flavor. It has nutty undertones and finally a slight jasmine hint. Sometimes, if you're lucky, you'll find a coffee aftertaste in there somewhere. So the next time you want to give chocolates to someone, think a bit about what they might like and dazzle them with your expertise in selecting the perfect chocolate for them. This video is brought to you by Grah Shobha and One Network. This is Ranjit Singh signing off.